What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Vance B.
It's a mod.
Yeah, record report in the building. Hope y'all doing fine. For this episode, we got a special guest in the building. Actually, an iconic guest in the building.
Legendary. We can use that word.
A legendary guest in the building. For this episode, we actually interviewed the great Patrice Rushen for her album Straight from the Heart. An amazing album that has been probably one of the most sampled albums within the genre of hip hop. You heard so many songs from that album on several classic hits in our time, and we had the opportunity to actually interview her. So, yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy the vibe. You are about to hear our interview with Patrice Rushen on her album, her legendary album, Straight from the Heart. Let's get it.
Let's go. Oh, it's going to be fun, man. I'm excited.
Yo, I'm hella excited, too. We get to talk to a legend, man. Come on now. We got to do it. We got to do it. We got to do the thing. Let's do it. All right. So, mainly what we do here is we take an album, and we break it down song by song by our favorites, our top threes. Me and Ahmad, we choose our top three songs, and for each song, we break down why we like it, and then we talk about the historical context of each song. With you being here and your expertise in so many forms of music, specifically this album too, you're an expert of your own craft. We would love to hear like insight in like the history, the background. This album, particularly, we've heard a lot about like the history behind it, but we want to get the source from where it originally came from. So yes, we break down our top three songs, and then on top of that, after that, we usually talk about what we've been listening to lately. But since you're here, we might as well ask you what you've been listening to lately. So that's what we're going to do.
That'll be at the end, though. And
Right.
One thing I add is that Vance and I are like longtime friends. Like, this is just an idea that we came out with. We were interns at a radio station at Morgan State when we were younger, which is wilder to say. And we would always go back and forth about how we just love sharing music with each other. So we would both come around and be like, are you listening to this? Are you listening to this? And like the whole community we had was around just like sharing music and like things we like at the moment, and working at a radio station, intern at a radio station allowed us to go to like a bunch of free shows, and we just really got like just nerd out to music. And as we gotten older and we listened to podcasts and like a lot of the discussions around music, a lot of people don't actually talk about music, talk about the people who make music. And we kind of wanted just to like use this space that we've created over the past few years about actually talking about like the actual music that we love and not what we don't like or all of the extra stuff, but like the stories behind it as well. And that's like just a fun thing that we do. And I just want to thank you for being a guest and saying yes.
Yes.
Vance, do you want to kick? I don't even know how to go. Do you want to start with like your first, like your third song? Because we rank it 3, 2, 1. And I think we do this because we try to challenge ourselves to filter it down to 3 songs. Because we'll get on here and be like, I love every single song about everything I heard. But it's supposed to be like a little bit of a competition of like, how do you filter it down to songs that you like? And we try to make it a fun thing for everybody involved. And we're going to just throw out random songs and we just have questions around it for you. And I just looking forward to having a wonderful conversation. I can't believe you actually are on here. This is awesome.
Right.
Okay, we're going to stop saying it at some point. We actually go to the songs.
Yes, eventually. Yes. Should I read the description of what we got the source of the album here, but I should definitely read the description. Let's try to make this as normal a show as possible. But just goodness. For our viewers, we are freaking out in our heads right now. So I'm just letting you know that if we just happen to fan out and go crazy, sorry, Miss Rushen. Sorry, viewers.
It's all right. It's all cool. All good.
All right. That's amazing.
It is what it is. Yeah. All right. So Straight from the Heart. This is from Wikipedia. So complete grain of salt. Straight from the Heart is the 7th studio album by American recording artist Patrice Rushen, released on April 14th, 1982 by Elektra Records. It features her most recognizable song, Forget Me Nots, the off-sampled Remind Me, and the popular instrumental workout Number One. Straight from the Heart scored Rushen her first 2 nominations at the 1983 Grammy Awards for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance for Forget Me Nots and Best R&B Instrumental Performance for Number One. This album is also Miss Rushen's most successful album to date, peaking inside the top 20 of the Billboard 200 at number 14. The success for Forget Me Nots is considered the most major contributor to the album's popularity at the time of its release. All right.
Wow.
Who should I ask what they think about this album? Miss Rushen, let's go for you. What did you think about the creation of this album?
What do you think about it years later? I'm so curious to know. Yeah, I'm sure you heard like so many stories when it meant to so many people, and like the samples. And we're gonna get into a little bit nerd out a little bit more, but like the timeline as well. Like I'm trying to put this into one question, but like also like the timeline of you were using tech. People don't really notice. You were using technology and like infusing technology that wasn't really you widely used at the time, and like still kind of new. In the early 80s, so where disco was not what it once was, hip hop is beginning to emerge. You were known for your for being a wonderful instrumentalist. Some of your earlier albums were just kind of more jazz than this. How is it looking back to see like this is the norm now? This is just evolution of music is now the norm, where it's like you mix in a little bit of everything. I think this is my question coming up. I think in Beyonce's last album, she had the country artist whose name escapes me, and she said on there, genres are a funny thing because we just make the music, but people put the genres on them. But I kind of think that this was such a crucial point where so much was coming together, and it sounded like you were just having fun. Somewhere there's a question in there.
There's a question in there somewhere. Okay. Well, I think just to give you a general idea, the music is always evolving. I mean, artists, that's not unique to me. Artists taking from different things that they're attracted to and finding ways to offer some of those things that mean something to them in what it is that they ultimately put out there. And there were a lot of things going on. You mentioned the emergence of certain kind of technology. You mentioned the end of a particular kind of era in music, especially dance music, where people had been doing disco music and it had become more and more formularized and stuff like that. But all the time, what's always been pretty much constant through everything is an evolution, particularly as it relates to Black music. And I don't say that from the standpoint of anything other than the fact that back then there were limited ways in which people would find the music. And you can go all the way, you can go way, way back. I mean, you can go back to the 50s in terms of artists and who was allowed to do certain kinds of things. And by the time we got into the technology of recording, some of those same kind of barriers were there, and they all lasted. However, more and more people broke those barriers from the standpoint of the kind of music that they responded to and the kind of music that they would listen to. So by the time we get to the 80s, we've broken through a lot of things where a lot of very well-known artists and groups it's beginning to be clear that they can sell records. It's beginning to be very clear that the majority of there's a majority of people listening to them, and all of those people are not necessarily Black people. So now you have it out in the open that there's all of this combination of things and sounds that are going on, and lots of people across genres listening to each other. You don't think James Brown was influenced by jazz? If every musician that played on Motown was a jazz musician, the Funk Brothers were jazz musicians. So when I tell you that this is not necessarily new, that's what I mean. I mean that the consciousness among the people who were actually doing the thing was a constant kind of mix and borrowing and enjoyment of other kinds of things and finding ways to put that together to articulate better whatever you wanted to do. That's not necessarily a new thing. Now, by the time I came along, since this was the norm, it just, for me, holds the form that fortunately, when I started, I was given the assignment of making jazz records because the label that signed me, that's what they heard me do. That's what they thought I would do. And I did that and enjoyed it immensely. But they also allowed me to grow and to evolve and to continue to, because I was a writer, a composer, to continue to use some of the compositional elements that I borrowed from other people. And so I could listen to James Brown and Brahms at the same time. I could understand Beethoven and Stevie Wonder. I could appreciate, the Beatles and Frank Sinatra. It was about the music. And so I felt like that was okay. And nobody told me that I couldn't do that. So I was very lucky in that way. It was a long time until I got to the point that I realized that the music business made it such that sometimes things were put in categories where you had to begin to choose. Or choices were made for you in terms of what the music was and where it fit. And that wasn't, I don't believe, a musical artistic moment. That's a business monetary moment in terms of how we're going to best sell it. And it is a business also. So those kinds of things came into play. Now, to your question about Straight from the Heart, it fell somewhere in the middle of a lot of different kinds of things, one of which was a thing they used to call crossover. And that was where you would do a song and it would go all over black radio, and then they would wait to see if it would cross over into pop radio, which was white radio. We didn't have internet and all of that. So the main identity for whether or not something was successful or had a shot at success was radio. So you wanted your records to get as far and wide as they possibly could. It would help you support the idea of you touring, and later it helped you support the idea of them allowing you to do a video. Okay, so those kinds of things were also happening at that same time. And so there was this convergence. But the big thing was the fun that we had doing the music. And most of the people that I called to work with me were people that shared a similar idea about the kinds of musicians that we wanted to be. And that was complete. Yeah. We want to be complete. Our goal was to be so bad we could play with Miles Davis or Michael Jackson, and some of us did.
So I got a question. Because like that is one thing I saw in like your interviews, like how you and your bandmates were like working with masters. I think that's something that you said in the past. Can you tell us about some of those masters that you worked with in the past? Sure. That way you can give us our. We probably know. We fans of you, but for the audience in the back,
I think it's important to know.
Yeah,
and again, that was the way that we learned how to do things. You watch people who did it really well, and you wanted to be able to get good enough that you could be good enough to work with them. So I had a lot of people in a lot of different musical categories that I was able to work with that I really enjoyed. Abby Lincoln. I worked with big band writer Gerald Wilson. I worked with Willie Bobo. I worked with Lee Ritenour. I worked with The Temptations. I worked with Diane Reeves. I've worked alongside Benny Maupin and Herbie Hancock, Stevie Wonder, George Duke. The list goes on of people that were influential for me. And then my friends, Gerald Albright, Paul Jackson Jr., Ndugu Chancellor, Freddie Washington, Reggie Hamilton. I mean, those are like my immediate peers. And then, Prince, Michael Jackson. So the list of people that I had an opportunity to work with came out of wanting also to do studio work in service of other people's music. And that's where I met so many studio musicians that I ultimately worked with. I mentioned Lee Ritenour, and I worked with Carlos Santana, and I worked with James Gadson and Harvey Mason and Billy Cobham and Steve Gadd and Mahavishnu, John McLaughlin, all these people. And it would seem like we would meet in these situations where I would get to know the guys from the band Toto, because we were living on opposite sides of town, all trying to do the same types of things. And what brought us together actually was a studio, being in a situation, in an environment where that's where we were all competent, because in Los Angeles, where I grew up, the big prize was versatility. You wanted to be versatile so that you could work in this situation or this one or this one or this one, and all doing music. And some of us, were focused like that. And for me, somebody who enjoyed composition and then songwriting, that was a perfect way to be always in that environment, always feeling that environment of creativity. And that's in addition to trying to learn to play and, all of that stuff. So there was a lot happening at the time that was all amazing and really cool.
I know Vance when it gets to the song, and I just have one question. I have to ask it.
No, I'm having fun.
I can't imagine. I'm just so curious to know, like, what was it like being a woman, especially specifically a Black woman, having to be the focus where I can play every instrument and I want to just come together with my friends, make amazing music. I wouldn't trying to guess in my mind who would be a peer who would do something similar, who maybe they even had the skill set, but maybe just to the record business, they weren't allowed to like live that out or be that creative. Was there any I know I was listening to one of your interviews and reading some of your stuff and reading other interviews, and like the label was not supporting this album when it came out. They were not putting what's behind it, which is so funny because it was definitely a smack in the face. On the other end, Forget Me Not is on there, and like not even mention the influence of everything else. That's like an undeniable song. And whatever. So what was that like? I'm so curious to know, like, as a person to be like, because even now, I think women are put into a box musically where you have to be a certain way, and there are like limitations on what they can be. I can only imagine what that was like in '82.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, I didn't see a lot of people who looked like me trying to do what I was trying to do, which was the focus on the music and be involved. I wanted to write for film and TV. That's That's what I went for. All of this other stuff that happened was on the way to be trying to reach that goal, and in so doing, having these opportunities to do other stuff. But no, you're right. There weren't a lot of, and certainly you didn't see a lot of Black women. The ones that you saw were mostly singers, great singers, and in a category where the assumption was that they just sang. But I'm gonna tell you something. Sarah Vaughan could play piano really well. So could Carmen McRae. And so it was not unusual to me to see women instrumentalists capable of doing things, even though the persona that they may be doing publicly was looking like something else. But I wanted to focus on the instrumental part. So that did make things a little bit different for me. But I think the biggest challenge for me was that, see, fortunately, when I was in high school, it was more about we were all male and female who wanted to play. We were focused on that. We were focused on the music and focused on how to be as good as we could possibly be and to be contributors to the perpetuation of the music. That was what we were trying to do. So they need the part played. I could play it. It didn't matter if I was female or male. This is what we're doing. And ultimately what happened, because of them being so few females, I was actually very protected. So I was not used to the idea of what you're talking about when I met the professional ranks and realized that I was in a very niche, very small population of instrumentalists who sang, as opposed to singers who also play instruments. I was in a very different category than a lot of other people. But the cat was already out of the bag, man. I had already had such success just being me, just doing myself, being as good as I could possibly be. And because I was taken seriously, and those masters that I just mentioned brought me into the fold when they realized that, when they would tell me things, Quincy Jones would tell me things. When I found out certain kinds of information, then that kind of like dispelled all of the other kinds of things that I might run into in terms of any kind of gender bias or racial bias or anything like that. At that point, it was like, oh, really?
It's too late.
You want to tell me no? Way to get me to do something is tell me no.
You messing with your own money now, you know?
That's so funny. Oh my God. That's beautiful to hear. There was people there, like that community was there to provide protection. And
was there to protect me. Now I know it's not that way for everybody. And I know a lot of women who suffered a lot before me. And I'm standing on their shoulders too, because every time somebody does succeed, it breaks down a little bit of that glass ceiling. But my peer group and people that, I think women are now also changed in that they don't accept other people's opinion of what they're going to be able to do or not be able to do. They are getting on with the doing it. So the young women that I talk to, or the young women that come and ask me for advice or whatever, my best advice is just to be really, really good and to know that translates into a lot of things, but be really, really good.
Be undeniable, what they say, right?
Undeniably good.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow.
I think we need to get into the album, because good Lord.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh my God, we set the tone. All right. So
what's your first song? What's your third song?
No, sir. I definitely chose
I'm first.
Song. Yeah, you first.
Oh, that's the rules.
You in the hotlight. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Putting you in the spotlight. Yeah.
I was not ready for this.
Even though you probably take one of my favorites.
I definitely thought you was gonna go first. It's easy for me. I'm gonna say my favorite song for last, but the song that I gravitated toward to, like, really one of my favorites, She Will Take You Down to Love. I absolutely love the beginning. I love how it does not sound like everything else on the album. It sounds like not bossa nova, but definitely like Brazilian inspired with the drums. And then I saw on the credits that it was just you and one other person made the song. It was like a large group, but it feels not a cappella, but it feels like not loud, but it feels like embracing. Like, it's a beautiful song. The lyrics is beautiful where it's saying something, so it it resonates with your soul and your spirit. But the percussion, the drums, it's all like completely enveloping you, and you feel like because the ballads, there's the dance songs in the beginning part that gets your energy going. There's some slower songs like Where Is the Love, You Remind Me, not Breakout gets you moving again, but If Only, the love ballads that get you moving. But then this song, it didn't sound like anything else. It sounded just inspired by something different, and I absolutely love it, and it stuck with me the most. And I don't remember as a child listening to this one or my mom playing this record, but this is a record where I was like, did she play this song? Because I remember she played this album, but I'm like, I don't remember her playing this song, but I absolutely love this song. Just the entire opening. It reminds me of like, what's his name? Antonio Carlos Jobim. some of the music that he makes, which is bossa nova, but it's still like that Brazilian inspired, South American inspired with the drums, and the percussion. And I think it's so impressive he's able to sing all of these words and play all the other instruments while the one person is on the drums. I just think I can't multitask around my house. That is impressive.
Okay, I have to tell you about that. No, it's exciting to me that, in dealing with so much music, you don't pay attention to it, and I don't pay attention necessarily to what people gravitate to. You do what feels good to you. And there was a time, it's not like that right now, but there was a time when people would do albums and they would have the whole concept in mind so that the listener not only would be able to listen to the album top to bottom, and remember we had liner notes and you could follow along. That's how you knew who played on it. But it was also to be able to offer different moods of that particular thing. Not that it was all over the place, but that there was a certain identity about a certain feeling that permeated the whole album. If you felt a certain way about something, you felt deeply about this. If you felt a certain way about that, you felt deeply about that. And I think that that's what I was going for with this one. I just had songs that felt good to me and that I thought other people would enjoy. Now, very astute of you to have picked up on the idea that we talked about influences before. And one of the influences that has resonated with me is our music that comes from South America, particularly Brazil. Well, you were right on the money with that. And when you talk about Antonio Carlos Jobim, or you talk about Milton Nascimento, or some of these other composers, yeah, those are the same people that my mother and father, when they were playing music like that I heard. So then in addition to when they're playing, Ellington and, some of the things that from that big band, they also had in their collection other things that happened when the migration of the musics kind of came together in the 60s of when we were introduced to bossa nova and the other forms of Brazilian music. So I just heard it just like you heard it. It was just another thing that made me feel good. I didn't analyze it. I didn't try to understand any of that. I didn't know about any of that for a very long time. It was just how the music felt. So, long way of saying that when it was time to do the Straight from the Heart album, the album is called what? Straight from the what?
Straight from the heart.
Okay, so is that not about feeling first?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this was one of the things that I had always wanted to do. And the man playing percussion on this happens to be from Brazil. His name is Paulinho da Costa. He's on a lot of albums. He's on Michael Jackson's "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." All them bells and things that you hear. That's Paulinho. He's on all of that. Find his name and go through some of your albums, especially that were done at that time. He's all over.
Wow.
Anyway, we are friends, and I asked him, I said, Paulinho, I want to do this particular song, and I'm gonna play guitar on the song, and I want to evoke the feeling of a certain kind of love and feeling that is a lot of times in the music of Brazil. And the lyrics are by Faye Hauser. You all are too young to remember, but there used to be a movie called Roots.
I watched it. I've seen it.
I watched it.
I've done my parents made sure I watched that.
Okay.
Same
well,
here.
Look, Faye Hauser had a very pivotal role in the movie Roots. That's all I'll say. You guys can do your homework. But she also is a super creative nowadays film director on her own, and has always been an amazing storyteller and wonderful actress. And what I'm trying to impart to you guys is that, creativity takes on different forms, but they intersect, which is why your entire lives, you've probably heard about writers who know actors, who know actors, who know directors, who know painters, who know this or that, because of that intersection. So I asked Faye to write the lyrics because I knew that from the standpoint of that feeling that it would resonate, and the story is what you hear as the lyric content of the piece. She had a melody and the feeling that
was she there? I'm so curious. Then that's she wasn't there.
No, we used to do that. So we call each other on the phone. I would record it at home on a cassette or something like that, or we would just record the music part, and I would just sing, the melodic line, la 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 la, whatever I was saying, and then I would send it. We did it all kinds of ways, but other times people were in the same room at the same time. Most of the time that we were recording, everybody in the rhythm section was playing. We all played together the majority of the time. And we might go back and overdub and put this on top or something like that. But we didn't have Pro Tools and all of that. We got to go now, and it's going to take.
It feels live. It feels acoustic.
Well, that's because Paulinho and I played together. We played together.
Yeah.
We played at the same time.
And
then I did my vocals separately.
That's fine.
It feels live.
Well, that's how we did that one. They didn't all go like that, but that's how we did
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was kind of like you were going over your own beat in some ways, like as a precursor to rap. I might just be trying. Yeah.
Okay. It is a precursor to rap.
No, it's different.
Yeah, it's a little different. Different. Okay.
And that doesn't mean it's different. Then that doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's different. We have tools we didn't have before, and it causes you to think differently about things, and you approach it differently. But I tell you what's not different, what you're going after. And what you're going after is at least one more individual to be able to relate to the feeling. Because that's what music is.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Amen
it
to that.
is.
Yeah.
My goodness.
It's kind of hard to piggyback off of that because you're breaking down the details and that, like the details to the actual song, specifically how it was created. I think the thing that the reason why I really like this song, one, this was kind of like a B cut for me that eventually became like my favorite because it kind of set the tone for like different environments. But I think on top of that, the feeling that you spoke about is important to this song because I think this was one of the songs for me that really brought out that emotion. In many ways, you could tell or you could pick up the emotions from the way that the song was structured, and that was something that I really picked up and I really appreciated. So yeah, to know that one, it was only two of y'all that actually did the percussion itself because it sounds like a whole group of people, which is like another song off of this project that we're probably going to talk about. But to actually hear that emotion and feeling was kind of the I guess the main objective of this song, man, it really brings a level of depth for me because as somebody outside looking in, it was just really cool to actually see how everything was put together and the similar kind of vibes that I picked up throughout this entire song as well. So this one kind of grew on me to a point where I grew an appreciation for it. And then on top of that, I remember one interview how you spoke about like how a tour with Carlos Santana was like one of like your earliest big tours, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after hearing that interview and then coming to this song, just kind of reinforced the level of inspiration or the level of influence from that area onto your ears. So yeah, good choice though. Really good choice. For real.
All right.
Yes.
What you got,
is it my
Vance?
go now?
Yes,
God,
it is.
oh God, the pressure is pressuring.
It's different when somebody looking at you saying, pick my
I
song.
know. I'm nervous. But then again, I put you on the spotlight, so that's totally my fault. And now it's my go. I guess for me, I'm probably just gonna go for like the singles, cause come on now. So I'm gonna start out with actually. Oh, this is tough for a third one.
See, told you it's not easy. It's not easy picking 3 songs and you like all of them.
Cause one I actually like not only for the song itself. The song itself is dope. But then on top of that, the way that it was sampled, like so many samples came from it. But then the other one I really just fell in love with recently. That, you know what? Let's go with that one. That is number one. I'm going to go with number one. I fell in love with this song. I know that it's one of the biggest songs off of the album. I know you were nominated for a Grammy off of that one. So come on now, respect. But I think for me, reviewing this album was the first time I actually listened to it in its entirety and like really appreciate it. And then I saw the rolling performance that you did and how you kind of brought it to a new life with a whole band and a singer. And it just added another layer of appreciation for the song itself and how everything was so complex and kind of showed some of those characteristics of like your jazz background, but only in this new light in a way that, you know, gets people dancing. And then just seeing the performance recreated in the modern era with new singers or a younger singer and then different, you know, elements. It was really dope. And it just made me like this song more and more the more I listened to it. But yeah, I'd probably say number 3 would be definitely number 1. And also, I like the way that it was like, titled. I could be wrong, but I saw in another clip how you talked about like how you and the band would just like, that's number 1, that's number 2, and that's just how it got its title. And the fact that it was also like one of the best songs off of the project, so much history is encompassed off of this song. Not only the merits, but then actually how it was created, which I'm pretty sure you're gonna blow my mind saying. So I'll leave the floor.
So what's your question?
Oh no! Oh Lord! So yeah. I'm just mainly saying those were the reasons why Those were the reasons why number one was my favorite, or at least the top third.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think all of your points are really beautiful. When people respond to the music, that's something that's always very interesting to me, because you don't know what other people's response is going to be, what they're going to take away. Number one was, I wanted to make sure I had my nod to the instrumental. See, I came from a generation where you could have a high artistic aesthetic and commercial sensibility.
Yes.
You didn't have to give up one for the other. Just because you're commercial doesn't mean you don't have to be artistically aware and have a certain amount of skill. Just because you have a lot of skill doesn't mean that you void yourself of the understanding that there's people out here who want to feel the music, and to find that common denominator was a big part of the way we came up.
I have a
you
question.
dance, you go to your piano lesson on Saturday. You know what I'm saying? You're playing Bach and Beethoven for your teacher on Saturday, and Wednesday you're trying to learn the song off the radio. And when I was in college, it was really obvious that, having a sensibility about our music included why the music was making you move and feel. What is going on that's make you want to feel that you want to dance or cry or whatever it is, So that's a part of the music education. Part two is the why behind what you do. That's how you make it work. You don't just do it, just be doing it. You're going after a certain something. At least that's in my mind. That's what we were working on. Number one felt good, and that was the main thing. Now I don't care that everybody can sing da da da. You can put some other words to it if you want to, but I wasn't interested in that. It was how's it feel? And we played it live in the studio. Everybody was there.
Wow.
So that means that the music had to be laid out or written out to a degree that everybody could bring themselves to it.
I got one question.
And that was another part. That's another part of the way in which we did record. That today, it's not necessarily the same, getting the same feeling, because everybody's not necessarily in the room at the same time.
Yeah, they punch in a lot.
Yeah.
Well, no, you don't show. You go, and then tomorrow he goes, and then next week she comes in, and then
yeah.
Am I right?
You're absolutely right.
Feels like a McDonald's.
We didn't do that on these. Now I have done that,
yes,
but we didn't do that on these. And I wonder. I'm just saying. I wonder if a certain part of why people keep sampling this stuff has to do with a certain kind of synergy that happens when people who have a certain skill set are in the same room and able to do something creative for a purpose at the same time. That feels different.
It does.
Than having it done one or two or three people at a time. I'm not saying that it's better, but for certain kinds of things, there seems to be something that comes out of it. That's a texture that comes out of it that's different than what happens when people do things, a few at a time. And we didn't have the technology then to do that. So you had 24. Let's go. And if you got 6 people in the room, we can just start counting. I'll teach 2 for guitar, 2 for the keys, 2 for the adds up real quick.
I absolutely agree. I think even like listening to music that is newer, I think the music that has some level of thing that go viral that people really enjoy, when you talk to people about that creative, like for example, a lot of people my generation, my age, are talking about this upcoming album from the Clips where they worked with Pharrell in France, but he was on a Louis Vuitton clothing line. And basically they said the creative process was they were just in the same building with Pharrell while he was designing the clothes and making the album. And it's the 3 of them working and working and working. And I think that creates some of the sound that people enjoy. And I think to your point, I think technology has been a great benefit, but sometimes you lose that for convenience purposes where you can record your piece your day. My question to you is, when you make an instrumental song like this in a song where in a phase, a creative phase where all of your other songs got words on it, is a creative process, I gotta make this a song, or do you you stand true to the instrumentalist where it's like, I gotta put it on here somewhere? Was there a moment where you're like, maybe I should take this off, maybe I should put another song on it, or should I make this into a song? Or was it always, it was what it was?
Well, I think the philosophy of putting an album together was different then. You put a whole album together. What do I want to say in this period? What illustration of where I'm at musically and creatively do I want to document in this period? We didn't think singles. We thought albums, because it represented parts of your artistry. And then for most artists, their artistry is bigger than any one thing. So when we were doing albums, that gave you a shot at being able to operate from that point of view. Now, that doesn't mean that there wouldn't be tunes that would come out and be standout, or that would make good singles. But singles was because they wouldn't have to play the whole album on the radio. They needed one thing to play to let people know that the album was out.
Yep.
And you pull the thing that you thought was going to be the one to get the biggest and the most attention and was one of the best, you put that out first. The curiosity was, okay, so you go buy the 45, but shoot, save a few more bucks and go buy the whole album. And then you could be home and have a whole experience. That's what you wanted to do. But we didn't stand around with we would buy, little, as kids, we would buy 45s, but you bought the 45, you turn it over for the B-side because you knew that the B-side was probably going to be something cool. And then you go and you buy the album. Or get a little older, you have enough scratch, you go and you just go buy the album because you already know that it's going to offer something that you're going to listen to over and over and over again. That was the other thing. We make music. Composers make music that they hope is going to be played over and over. And recorded music is the same situation. You don't care. You're not worried about the person listening to it the 100th time. You want the 500th time for them to be just as knocked out about, I never heard that shaker before. Or I know, you want all kinds of things to keep them in it as they listen to it over and over again, begin as you guys do, to dissect what's going on here. I've been feeling this, but now I have enough information that I want to know what's going on that's making me feel like that. So, I think that to your point, Ahmad, I think that the thing about, I just put the music on there because it felt like this would be good for the collection. No special glamour trip or nothing. Just this would be good for the collection. That it happened to be an instrumental.
It just happened.
Because for me, the voice is an instrument.
Yeah.
I could have put flute.
Yeah.
I could have maybe said, okay, let's put tuba. What's the best?
That in there.
What is the best illustration of what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Musically. What's the best? What's the best tool? Sometimes that tool looks like a song with words, and sometimes it doesn't need any words for you to feel something. Or you ever heard a song where the person was singing in a foreign language, you didn't know anything they were saying, but you would just, woo, that is so dope.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so it's the sound.
Yeah.
It's the sound of the thing that allows for you to feel what the artist wants you to feel. It illustrates what it is that they want to say.
I will add on to this. Like you were definitely saying it with that piano throughout the song. Like you were definitely saying it both in the real song, in the real life song, as well as the rolling recreation that you did.
Well, that was just we were just doing a video to advertise a new product that they have, a really nice product. And we decided to, they decided, I guess, we'd love you to play this song to illustrate the product.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's always fun to play. When I'm in concert, that's one of my favorite things to play. And actually, we usually start the concert with that song.
Oh, ooh. So I got another question. Because I really like what you said about like kind of, the intent to actually have people listen over and over again, to listen multiple times, 500 times, thousands of times. So that leads me to a good question. What do you think about kind of like the modern era of listening to music? And when I say that, I mean the fact that because we have music so accessible these days and technology is so accessible, maybe the level of listening might not be as complex as it once used to be. And I hear so many people say that the search is more for vibes than it is for the actual message behind music. But there's been several times you've proved it wrong where you don't need necessarily the vibes or either the words to actually tell that story. You just need to tell that story. So with that being said, what do you think about like the common era of music streaming and kind of how the new thought processes that come with it, the immediate satisfaction that so many people desire when it comes to listening to music now, instead of appreciating it and kind of digesting it more as like soul food than just a product that you might buy at McDonald's?
Well, listening to music used to be not only from the standpoint of what it is that you would gain personally from a piece of listening to a record or something like that, but it was the experience of sharing it. It's Music wasn't always recorded. People would go hear people play. It started being recorded when people who cared about what they heard played felt like, man, more people need to know that this is being played like this, that this is hitting my soul. The creation of records was about documenting artists who were doing amazing things and being able to get that to a broader public in case you couldn't make it down to Macon, Georgia to watch the cat walk around playing the blues on his guitar, right?
That's right.
But as the time went on, the recording aspect and the monetary gains that could come from a successful recording began to replace the idea of what it is that we're doing this for. I thought we were documenting art. I thought we were documenting and watching artists grow and cultivating this environment where we could all enjoy the journey of these people who were being documented as being pivotal in our cultural development. Then it got away from you even having to be able to do anything because the people who were adept at being able to manipulate studios found ways around some of the things that may make recording someone difficult. I'm not saying that any of this is bad. This is evolution. But I am saying that, there's a cause and an effect. And I think that just the way in which you guys described how the two of you used to sit down and listen to something. Who does that? And sit down and listen to something together. Who does that? And I think that right there, the social aspect of being able to share what you're feeling and share what you're hearing and being able to go, who's playing drums on this one? Oh, that's so and so again. He's on so and so. That was part of it for a lot of us. And it was part of the fun and discovering the music on a deeper level. Now it's just about you put stuff out there and you hope somebody knows you put it out there and it's on Spotify and everything else and the blah, blah, blah. You ain't getting paid nothing and nobody knows. It's reversed now. Well, now you got to go out there and play for a whole bunch of people just to get them to maybe go to the tent and buy your single. Now, again, I'm not saying that this is bad because maybe it's going all the way back to what it used to be. The idea was that the music was being performed. That's what you were going to see. The record was supposed to be the reminder of what you saw. And maybe we're going backwards. Only problem is that people don't know how to perform because they're not learning necessarily what that's about. So, there's a give and a take to everything. But just talking about it as we're talking about it right now kind of puts on people's minds a way where they can maybe the next time that they hear something that they like, pause and enjoy it and share it and say why you like it. It makes me feel this. It makes me dance. It makes me blah, blah, blah. It makes me cry. It reminds me of my friend and da, da, da. Whatever the situation is, there's supposed to be a cause. The worst possible thing that I would feel is if somebody heard some music and they don't care. Okay. Then the artist just wasted a bunch of somebody's time. And these days, what concerns me a little bit is that, hopefully we're getting back to it where more kids are learning to play. Both of you eat every day, don't you?
Yes, I do.
I'm a big.
Okay, but are you a chef?
No, ma'am, not at all.
No, I am not. No, ma'am.
Y'all both been on airplanes before, yes?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you fly one?
Never have I ever.
Maybe one.
But everybody thinks they're a musician.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody thinks that they understand and know because it's around them that they know exactly what it takes. There are some people who are putting things out there just to have something out there and put a few pieces of noise together and call it a record. And that's okay. I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, but I am saying our ability, because of technology allowing everybody to have the same platform, to be able to tell good, better, best, it's getting more and more difficult because there's just so much. The social aspect of being able to share what's good, to share what feels, becomes really critical. And that was something that back in the day, you didn't have any distraction from that. That was the way you found the records that you loved.
Such a great point. I remember my grandfather. He played the trumpet, and he was not like a well-renowned person, but he would go to the local market here in Baltimore, and he would play with his friends, like all of these older guys down at the Avenue Market playing jazz bands for free or whatever the case may be, and just playing together. And one thing he told me, he was like, I practice this every day. And he was like, I just find time and I practice this every day. And like, if you ever want to do something like this, you got to take it serious. I've never took making music that serious. Like, I see how much work it takes. I've always just been a fan of it and just been on the other end of nerding out to what I actually like, because I've always seen how dedicated it is to actually make it and the work that it takes. So I 100% agree, because now you see, even when I'm online, you see these little YouTube clips is like, hey, I made this beat in 5 minutes and you can too with this new cool app. And this is like, what? It's the time, energy, and effort and creativity goes into that. You're just stripping it all away because you can just move colors around on the screen. I don't know. So I 100% agree with that. 100%. So yeah.
I'm probably going to sound like the old guy shaking his hand at the cloud, but I do feel like, and this is an article that we talked about before here on the pod, and then just in general that I read about the culture of selling out, how everybody is becoming an influencer. One, because you need that exposure, but then two, the ideal of selling out. You want to get those sponsorships. You want to get everything that comes with it. And it kind of seems like, and as a music journalist, it kind of seems like that culture is moving into music, and like you said, taking away the message, the passion behind it, for just, hey, I'm only making this to be successful at a point where I can monetize off of it, which shouldn't be the case. But again, without generalizing, it's important to understand that there are artists that are out there, but it's kind of crazy how the majority is moving into this idea of selling out in order for them to be successful and put their music on the new audiences. I could be wrong.
I would agree with part of what you're saying, Vance, but I would also offer this too. Those people are not trying to do music. You just said it. They're trying to monetize something.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just finding something that they can do, that they can monetize something.
Yes. Great point.
When you talk to people who are musicians or writers or anybody that's really serious, because there's art in everything. So anybody that's really serious about the thing and they are passionate, and their passion, and hear me now.
Yeah.
Very seldom will you hear that they lead with, how much money can I make?
Right.
They won't lead with that. Now, I'm not saying that they don't want to be, able to pay their bills and successful, but they want to be able to do that by doing the thing in which they have found that they have their gift, and that their gift and their purpose for using it have met. I don't necessarily get that music is why somebody decides they want to be an influencer. To influence what? You're not going to change no music, because while you're doing that, you should have been practicing.
Right. That part.
So the music is it's a device to you. It's not it's not art to you. It's a device. Right. It's a way to get to the sponsor, to sponsor you to do what? What do you know how to do?
Right.
And it might be marketing. Then call yourself a marketer.
Yeah.
Call yourself a master marketer. But you cannot call yourself a musician when that's not what you really are selling. You might be using it to sell an image. You might be using it to sell a beat. You might be using it to sell a t-shirt. You might be using whatever. But that's not that's a musician.
Right. Agreed.
And I think that's the difference. So now, I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. Yeah. I am just saying it's like trying to call green purple.
Yeah.
They both colors.
They are both colors. That is true.
But one's green and one's purple.
Well, that's true. That's a fact.
And just like anything else, no matter what somebody wants to do, when they want to be successful at it, it takes work, and it takes research, and it takes time, and then it takes a certain kind of action. But I don't dig it when somebody uses the action of saying that they're A when they're Z.
Oh, I like that.
Be about the Z and leave my A alone.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm taking that.
You may have it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I can use that too.
You can copyright it though. Make sure you get your money. You know what I'm saying? We got to make sure you get that bread for it.
That's funny.
Yes.
I think it's my turn.
It is.
I want to pick. I normally try to stay away from like the single songs, the most popular songs on albums. It's just like my contrarianism. But I absolutely cannot not pick "Remind Me."
Yeah.
The bass line in this song is so intoxicating. It just, for lack of better terms, it strings you along throughout the entire song. It just is captivating, and that's just like this little like fairy dust in the bin. I should know what it's actually called, but it sounds like fairy dust in the bin. Absolutely love it. Not to mention the fact that it's been sampled, and I would love to hear your opinion on like all the people who sampled this song. But that depends on the people, but like just the feeling of your song being used in different ways. But this song is so amazing. And I even like all the greatness of the song. I also remember my aunts singing that song as loud as I don't know what. I remember my mom singing that song as a child. I remember them like just so it's been like a part of. And was this a single? I don't even remember because this like sometimes black people
It wasn't.
What?
It wasn't.
I see this is the thing. Like I feel like black people, I can't speak for everybody else. We did the same thing with Frankie Beverly with I can't think of the song, but some song he has that is so popular that wasn't even like the single, but it just for some reason black people matriculate to certain songs. But this is the one. It has been omnipresent throughout my childhood, and then listening to it now, it's like I was trying to see who was on the bass line, but I just assumed it was you because you was bass line singing and playing the piano.
Yeah, this was one of those this was another one that I did with just a drum.
Ooh, that's hard. My God.
So I had one other vocalist sing with me, and then there's not a lot on the track. See, that's another thing. People crowd the tracks. Air is part of the music too, and the groove and everything is going to happen when there's some space sometimes. So you find the right sound in order to punctuate the space, because silence is perfect. So when we do music, we're punctuating perfection. So sometimes you don't need a lot. You just need to feel like, what's the right sound? And the Rhodes piano was the right sound. We didn't have a lot to work with synthesizer wise, but I had my little ARP Odyssey for the beginning, and I played the little part. And the groove, the bass line, I played everything on the Rhodes, and then I went back and overdubbed, doubling my bass line. And myself and drummer James Gadsden. Now that's a name that you need to look up, because if you like Marvin Gaye, you've heard James Gadsden. You like the Bee Gees, you've heard James Gadsden. You like Cheryl Lynn, you've heard James Gadsden. He's been on so many things, all Smokey Robinson stuff. I mean, he's on a lot. And he came in and we played together. And that's what you got. And helping me with vocals on this one, I believe, was Lynn Davis. And Lynn used to work with George Duke. We were good friends. And I said, hey, we got some backgrounds I want to put on this thing. But I think that the biggest thing about Remind Me, just from a compositional standpoint, just a songwriter standpoint, has to do with it feels very simple. But just because something feels simple doesn't mean it's easy. Because when something is clear to you, as you felt like that's part of the soundtrack of your childhood and your days with your aunts and blah, 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 it's because there's something in there that just resonates with you that's a part of some element of your truth about what makes you feel good. So Karen Evans was the co-writer of the lyrics with me, and same thing, play the music, and we began to collaborate, to find just the right thing that we thought would make the song come off. And what's ironic about it is, again, number one, Remind Me, they're on the same album as Forget Me Not. They're on the same album as Straight from the Heart. Remember that album was not something that the company liked very much.
Right. Which is crazy.
Surprising. It's baffling. And that piano solo, like near the end, oh my God, it went crazy. And it was just so funky. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just had to piggyback off of that note.
Can you imagine being in a situation where every time you went in the studio, what you were tested, or the test that you felt was, can we make this feel great right now, today? And we would practice those grooves and play together for about 5 minutes, and then the tape would roll. We didn't just go in and just start. We played, that's what you're going to do. Just the right thing to be able to make it feel a certain way and then record it. And I think that came from me watching other people, my heroes going into the studio and watching how they got it, because they had to get it now, today, because they're all there. Time is money. So wow. We learned a lot through that process, some of which I actually do believe is part of why the music sounds the way that it does.
Question for this song, was this like a one take that was done, or did you lay it kind of down the same way that you did for She Would Take You Down to Love?
Very similar, actually. I hadn't even thought about that till you said it. First I did, Gadsden and I played together, and I played the Rhodes part, and then I went back and overdubbed the bass part with a different sound, which was basically just doubling what I played in my left hand at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I knew that I was going to have that. We called it the fairy dust. I love that. The intro, the arpeggios at the intro. I knew I wanted a synthesizer kind of sound to kind of set it up. So I purposely left a certain kind of space in the intro of the Rhodes part so that there would be room for that, and played that, and then it was about that melody and those background vocals.
Sure was. Definitely.
I have to ask. I know the song was sampled so many times, but that's cool. When Mary J. Blige redoes like samples the song and they remake it a thing, I'm sure there's other versions of it, but that's probably to me the one that resonates the most because I've also heard it a lot. When you hear this song being sampled, I've never had my work sampled before, and I don't know what I can describe that as. So I would love to know your like, what is that like for a musician? It's inspiration.
Quite.
I'm just joking.
If done with love, it can be paying homage to it, paying your respects. Like it can be like a way of doing that too. I always be curious to know like what is that like having something that is sampled. It is not the same as Forget Me Not, which is kind of they using the beat. This is like remind me they sample a little bit differently and use lyrics and stuff like that. So.
Well, it's kind of hard to describe because you see the definitions of what something is really helps to define a little bit more about what the intention is when somebody does it. Now, sampling was very new when Mary J. Blige sampled, use You Remind Me. It was very new. And what you're supposed to do when you're going to use something of somebody else is you're supposed to let them know, hey, love your work on something, and we've used a certain part of that in our song, so and so and so and so. Here's how it's going to go, and here's, make sure you get your publishing, and here's the deal, and blah, or a license or whatever. In other words, you're not just supposed to just do it and just, okay, see. So I knew when I heard that, and for example, that Mary J. Blige had sampled, and like I said, sampling was new then. So there weren't any kind of things there wasn't a procedure necessarily that you follow. That you have in place now. And, it was out and we called the record, hey, this is great. Her record was doing well. This is fantastic. Just want to remind you, can we have a negotiation about, so and so, publishing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Crickets. Heard crickets. Nothing. Record goes up, top of the charts. It's doing really good. So I asked my attorney, I said, well, what do we do? He said, let it go. He says, now I say that because it's happening. And when it hits platinum, we going after all of it. The performances, all of the places where that you would be entitled to something, then we go after all of it because it's already proven. Here it is. She's playing here. She's done this. She's played it every night for how many times on her tour. It's on the radio. Blah, blah. Here's the charts and the bloom, bloom, bloom. So we just can we get ours? I didn't like having to go at it that way. It would have been so much simpler if people had just called us back to talk about it. But it was the Wild Wild West then. Since that time, there is a procedure that people use when they want to sample or interpolate or whatever it is, the terms that they want to use to call it, or just straight up cover the songs. And it's great because from a composer songwriter point of view, ain't that the point? You're trying to do stuff that other people relate to. And if they want to do something and their creativity is sparked by something that you've done, that is awesome to me. It is also worth something. So the idea is that intention is a lot of it for me personally, and getting the licenses, seeking the understanding and important permissions is saying respectfully, I acknowledge your work and it's awesome. And I want to use it to do thus or so. I don't see anything wrong with that. And when it's done really well, and most of the when people have sampled my stuff, most of the time, it's been great. I don't think I've turned down very many when people want to use stuff. Only if whatever they're talking about is something that is like really derogatory to me. I remember there was one person that wanted to use Settle for My Love. And the first lyric of the rap was, my music come in the intro. And then they said, relax, bitch, and take off your clothes. I'm like, okay, whoa.
Yo. Right.
You're asking me, can you use my song, which is a love song?
Yo. God.
It's kind of funny now, but right then, that was tragic because I'm saying, whoa, this sampling thing, whoa, But like I said, that has happened very few times. Most of the time, it's awesome. And sometimes when somebody wants to take it, they go off onto a whole other thing that is spawned by. That's the beauty of it. I think Kirk Franklin, when he did Looking For You, I was like, what? And used Haven't You Heard? I was like, yeah. And there've been other, usages, some much more direct than that. where people have done some great things, and sometimes the loops are flipped around backwards. I mean, folks have been super creative. And, that's what's supposed to happen. Art is supposed to inspire art, to inspire art, to inspire art, because it's a reflection of our soul.
I got a question. I'm going to probably play devil's advocate by asking you this, but what is your favorite, if there's one sample that you had to choose?
God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
That's why I said devil advocate. I had to give you some context.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite. You know what? They're all my favorite.
That's a good
They're all my
answer.
favorite. I'll tell you why. Because they're indicators that the music has an element, whatever element that might be, that is timeless and that speaks to a certain kind of feeling. That's all I'm trying to do. So when I have validation of its relevance of songs that were recorded 20, 30, 40 years ago, that's huge. I don't take it for granted at all.
Okay. Great answer. Great answer.
Was Romani on your list?
Yes, it was actually.
Dang.
I think I had another question in regards to that, but I know that time is of the essence. So I want to make sure that we don't take up a lot of your time. It is getting late. So let's go ahead. We can go to my number one if that works for you.
I wonder if it's the same one as me. Go ahead, I'm curious.
You're just putting all kinds of pressure on me.
I know it's probably going to be. You're probably picking a single. Come on. You're going to pick the single. I knew it.
It's right. It's right there.
It's right there.
It's right there.
Cannot pick it.
I always DJ this song. This is one of them.
Still.
I was DJing this a couple months ago, at the Tombs, for real. Forget Me Nots is like a straight heater off of this song. The fact that the record label didn't like this song baffles me, because not only has this song been played several times on our radio stations, but this song was sampled in one of the soundtracks for one of the biggest movies of the 90s. How do you hate this song or not really bangs with it?
They couldn't hear it. Now, here's the thing. See, you already said it. Everything that you said happened as a result of people ever getting out and people relating to it and being able to hear it. At the time, that particular afternoon, that day, with those people in that room at that record company at that moment, that song was so different from anything they had ever experienced before that they had lost, apparently, part of the ability to hear what's coming. The record companies focused on what was happening right now, and they wanted, if there were certain things were successful, give me 1,500 more of those. Yeah. Music doesn't go like that, and people don't respond really that way. Most people respond on the basis of something that's happening, and there's a certain thing that they relate to, and the fact that it might take them over here. They're good with that. And particularly people who listen to Black radio. Our whole consciousness and a big part of the development of Black art in general is about being able to celebrate the tradition because it offers possibilities for the next thing. Am I right?
Yes, right.
This is what we do. This has been the survival of our people even. Okay, I'm with what is, but I do what's possible over here. And we always have to see it and taste it and smell it for that to be the case. At least that's how it used to be. We could realize that in our soul that something is, and that's enough to take us to where we need to go to keep it moving. And art is about that, and has been a safe zone pretty much for us to stay in that intelligence, to stay there. It has worked. So no fault of their own. They were working for a record company, and in a company situation, they were thinking like company people, and company people had success doing this company thing. And if we weren't going to give them 5 more widgets, it wasn't going to happen. And at least they told us. Now here's the big deal, that we had learned what to do. You see, when people don't agree necessarily, and there's a conversation that reaches a certain kind of understanding, then you have some options. You can get mad or you can go to work. And we had already seen previous to that album what the machine looked like when it was working for people and what the machine looked like when it wasn't working for people. And we wanted to now have what we needed to be able to get it to radio. If we could get it there and people didn't like it, okay, then there's nothing you can do about it. But every bit of our research, our little, very, very sophisticated research of just going to the disco and giving the cat $5, put it on right behind Michael Jackson, and if the floor clears, I guess we're wrong. And if it doesn't, I guess we're good.
Yeah.
And
Sounds familiar.
We did not sophisticated, but enough to know that what we were feeling ourselves and hearing as players, as having a good time, playing the piece and thinking that other people could relate, the reactions that we were getting were enough for us to know that maybe the company mindset might have been missing that part. So we were able to do something. We got some good advice and we were able to do something about it that got it to radio. And when it hit the people, bam.
I'm glad that you said that, because that was actually one of my questions. Like, despite maybe the feedback that you had from maybe a corporation, how were you able to get the word out and to a point where people did like the single for what it was? Also, you brought up the discos. You got a lot of elements, and this could just be me. I could just be tripping, but you got a lot of disco elements in this song, especially like in the 80s. How was it in the discos at this time, at a time where music was changing? And also, like, what was the initial impact when you first started bringing a lot of these songs to the clubs to get that reaction?
It was, the discos were different. They're not like they are now. People, first of all, they go to the discos. They actually went to dance.
Right. Hey. Sorry. I'm a DJ and I see those things happen all the time.
And so now, and when I say I went to discos, I'm not talking like Studio 54. I'm talking about the cat over on Crenshaw who has a little thing in the hotel lobby in the hood.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I didn't need, I wasn't gonna get to Studio 54 if I couldn't get past Bubby and them in the hood.
Right. Real discos.
So that's where we went to know that what we were feeling innately was going to be able to relate to people, because people were relating to it. We didn't have to, we just liked what we liked, and people would like what they liked. And we just want to know if there were other people that felt the same way we did. So I did not need the validation of the large disco room with the ball and the stuff. I just went down to the neighborhood and said, y'all could watch, let me watch people respond. Or not, because you got to be prepared for that too. And when they did, I said, well, that was enough to give me a certain kind of reason to go for it and just see. And if there's any lesson to be learned in that, I think it is that you can trust your feelings about something when you've done the work. When you do the work, then you have a certain kind of sense of understanding about what it is, to the point that you will receive a certain kind of feedback and be able to measure it against something to know what parts of that might be valid. But you better have done the work and put it to certain kinds of tests, and be also willing to either modify or change it if it doesn't seem to meet a certain criteria based upon your goal. And our goal was to have people feeling good and maybe want to dance. That was the goal. We were already cool. We had played it already. After we played, we were like, we're good.
We're back.
Now, the fact that we would get to do it again and again, or that other people would like it, I mean, that was the assignment. That's why we were recording. You're recording so that people can hear it over and over. And we knew how to do that. We had been in the studio. We knew how to do this. And sonically, that's science too. What is going to allow for there to be this spatial, Forget Me Not's another one of the songs hardly has anything on it. It's bass, Rhodes, drums,
an incredible bass.
Is that a sax in the back?
That's the gem.
Yes. Oh, that bass was killing it.
And then a simple melody just to allow all that. It's just, and that's why they couldn't hear it. It's like all this funk and then this story.
Yeah.
And that was different at the time, I guess.
Yeah.
Different enough that they didn't respond, which was okay. But the people responded, and that was awesome.
And this just came from like a jam session you had at Freddie's house. That's true, right? Is that like a rumor? That's a real thing. It was just
Freddie stayed at when he's from Oakland, California, about 500 miles north of Los Angeles. He used to come down to Los Angeles to play gigs with me sometimes. I really loved his playing. I would visit the Bay Area a lot, and I had heard of him. And he came down and he stayed with our family for a few months while he was in the process of relocating to LA. And we played every day.
Wow.
And sometimes I play drums, he played keyboards, I play bass, sometimes he would play drums. We'd rotate in my little studio practicing. And I used to record everything, my little tape machine with the tape. We would record because we would be listening back to see what could we get better at. I'm playing a little this, I'm a little head, I'm a little, just to record as part of our practice. Mm-hmm. And one day he was playing this bass line and I'm like, whoa. And, I don't think he modified it very much at all. Once I said, what was that? And he says, what are you talking about? Wind the tape back. That. Oh, I don't know. I'm just playing.
I'm just playing.
I'm just messing around. I'm just fucking around.
And, it evolved into something that he took to somebody else. And then she came up with, her name is Terry McFadden, and she came up with this Sending You Forget-Me-Nots to help you to remember. Mm-hmm. Brought that back, and then I'm like, okay, now we need to finish the rest of the story, and here we go. Collaboration is a big deal. And the idea of working with people who have a certain skill set and a certain understanding and a certain trust and a certain love for the music first allows you to maybe do some things that on your own you couldn't do. But together that comes together, and their idea sparks yours and yours sparks theirs, and blah, 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 blah. Now remember, I had come from that tradition where that's what happens with jazz musicians all the time. So you see how it just gets larger and bigger, the idea, but the concept of what is happening in that shared experience of the music, whether it is as you guys, as listeners, as participants on the dance floor, as spinning as DJs and doing your mixes, as going and hear somebody perform, it's all that same exercise of humanity just moving through, in this case, sonics, music, art.
I got another question for you. I got another question for you. So the brass breakdown, like near the end, that was a sax, right?
And what song are we talking?
Forget-Me-Nots?
Forget-Me-Nots. Okay. Yeah.
Who spazzed out? Who spazzed out with that breakdown? Cause Jesus Christ. That was such a pivotal part of the song as well.
On the recording?
Yes, ma'am.
That's Gerald Albright. Now, if you don't know who that is, you need to look him up too. He's on a whole lot of records. And we went to high school together. And Forget-Me-Nots is his first recorded solo.
Wow.
Jeez.
I know he was excited when he found that out. Like, oh my God, I can really do this. It's my first song.
Sound excited.
I also love that you're giving us homework. And every time your name's like, you need to do some research. I really do appreciate it.
And the reason that I tell you guys that, because you guys know a lot, and you guys are doing great work, and you're bringing together the idea of what the music is about. And the information that you have access to, you are using it really, really well.
Oh, I appreciate
so what you want to do is, like, if there's a name that comes up that is a part of this type of thing, you want to know about them, because when you go down that rabbit hole, you're going to find a whole bunch of other stuff that you knew, but you didn't know was them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or you might be somewhere and you say, wait a minute, ain't this the same cat that played?
Yeah.
What? And you're seeing them doing their thing. Maybe they're at a concert or playing with somebody or something like that. Gerald Albright, somebody whose name you want to know, because in terms of the young saxophone players, he's, to a certain generation, that's like saying, I don't know, think of one of your parents, say something like Cannonball Adderley or John Coltrane or something like that. To a certain segment of people, he represents somebody pivotal like that in the contemporary, not only contemporary jazz world, but in the contemporary pop world too. Because there's lots of songs that he has played on that you've probably heard of.
Wow. I guess I got the last song, which is absolutely no pressure whatsoever.
Sure not.
For me, it's easy though. This is the song, and I'm a sucker for songs like this, but it is Where There Is Love. It's I don't know if it's not like it's a breakup song, but I absolutely love this beautiful breakup song.
My gosh.
It's just beautifully put together. It's a love ballad. It was a great energy shift from number one to this. Like you said, the sonics is totally different. The emotion being felt is from energetic, because the first 4 songs you're moving around, you're enjoying yourself, and then you get the next part of the album, the B side, the other side. I can't think of the name, but you play it, and it's just like this slow dancing, quiet storm. I want to say love ballad, but it's not a love ballad, but it is a ballad, heartbreak ballad. But Where There Is Love, I thought it was beautiful. It's just a beautiful song, and
Wow, thank you.
I play it all the time. My wife said, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just like the song. I just like the song." But no, it's a song that it's one of those songs I love forever. It's just a beautifully well done song, and I absolutely
Thank
love
you.
it.
Wow. You know, it really, really is amazing. And I'm going to share some of you guys' enthusiasm with the co-writers of these songs. You know, I'll talk to Freddie and I talk to Lynn, and I'll tell them, because, you know, when we do it, we've had fun. We put it down and we keep going. But to know that it is affecting people, that's really beautiful. And that you are, you know, that you continue to play it and turn other people onto it and stuff. That's great. So yeah.
I'm glad that you chose this song, because this was definitely on my list as well. This was the one that was kind of tough for me to choose, because one, the song alone is fire. Like the way that the song starts, da-dum, dum, boom, and that bass line, oh my gosh, it was different when I first heard it, and it still to this day happens to be one of the songs that I like from your catalog.
Wow,
Hands down. So just the instrumentation behind it, the layer, once again, I like layers of depth in my songs. And the fact that you have so many.
Well, that's another one where now we played at the same time. Now that one we were all there.
What?
Beautiful.
That is
That's
hot.
probably why
Oh my
it sounds
God.
so great.
Yeah, we were all
Oh my
there.
God.
The only thing that was overdone, obviously we did the track. We used to record the music track first. Get a great feeling take. Then your vocals on top of it, or any other overdubs, you know, if the song required strings or horns or whatever. But those were done in separate sessions. But the rhythm section, that's where it is. That's where it is. That's where most of my songs actually live. Being part of the rhythm section, I'm really prone to really appreciate how there has to be an integration of the rhythm section. So at one point you stop just hearing drums or just hearing bass, or you hear the whole rhythm, the vibe. And then you can always go back and dissect, well, what did that person play? But the thing to be really, really, since you guys are music nerds, pay attention to the fact that, why did they play that? How does that work with the bass line? What's happening on that kick drum pattern? Is it with the bass or against the bass? What about that guitar? Wow, the guitar and the keys are not clashing at all. What about the placement? That shaker is on the opposite side of the mix of the hi-hat. Oh, what about that? You know, now you can go in. Because for us, all of those elements made what those records were. It wasn't just us playing. It was the sound we made when we played together. Then it was the way that experience transferred over stereo. And when you hear it in your buds, or when you hear it in your car speaker, or when you hear it over big speakers, one of the reasons that a lot of this music just bam, it just is because also the artists who were mixing it were artists of sonics. My engineer was the person that did the most stuff that you guys have mentioned. His name F. Byron Clark, Frank Clark. And what Frank used to tell us, you throw it, I'll catch it. And to watch him mix was like watching a dancer. Because he was into the tune, he knew the words, he was moving stuff around, putting it into the stereo spectrum and all this other kind of stuff. And that's why today, when you hear some of that stuff, put another record behind it. These jump off. Records from that time period just kind of jump off. A lot of the records now, they sound okay, but they don't, and I think it's just, you know, it has become a different sound. And a part of it is because I don't know that the people who are recording it, the recording is good, the quality is great, the sounds are good, but boy, there could be all of this dimension. Part again of what happens when you've never been in a situation, or haven't been in a lot of situations, where you hear people play. So if I can offer any of the people that listen to your show, watch your show, to you as well, get out and hear some live music so that you understand what it is that you're trying to recreate on those records that people will love. There's a feeling from being able to watch and see and hear the space between this and that and the other. And you know when it's being done by people who know what they're doing, because you're bored when it's not good.
That's so true.
Amen.
But it gives you sort of a mental template, if you will, for what the experience of listening can be. And you all have experiences because you used to sit down and listen to stuff together.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Encourage your friends, your younger friends.
Yeah.
To do that sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sit together and listen to some music and talk about it.
Hell yeah.
That's a whole other thing than walking back and forth from the store with your buds on, and that's the way you hear music. Have you ever heard it from a speaker for real?
Right.
Not
Right.
The way it was intended?
Yeah,
Right.
not really.
Have you used
There
it to
was this,
set the environment? You know, have you used it
yeah.
to set the tone of where you at? You know, yeah.
There's this one wonderful article written by a friend of ours, Lawrence in GQ. He
Shout
said
out to Lawrence
his
Bernie.
daughter is going. Shout out to Lawrence, is going to high school, and he wrote in GQ. He put it on Father's Day, as a matter of fact, and he said one of the ways that he connect with his daughter is they share songs with each other. So what is she listening to? What is he listening to? Doesn't matter if it doesn't need to be new. It can be whatever you want. But they talk about it and like what you think about it, And I thought it was really cool. Me and my son do the same thing. Me and him, he's 11 now. He has playlist. And he'll listen to things I listen to, all the things that he's listening to. He sends me stuff. Some stuff he listens to is like, what is this? But I give it a fair, and I'm sure he feels the same way. So there's something about, I think it's actually like, I was reading a book, I think Malcolm Gladwell talk about sharing, something about music, and music sharing actually does something for your brain.
It does.
Yeah, it's like
It
a
does,
brain active
absolutely.
thing. But we're nearing towards the end, and we are definitely want to like thank you. So before we get to all the thanks, we have to ask part of the show. What are you currently listening to?
Well, I said the same thing when you asked me earlier, because it's hard for me to pinpoint. I'm not really listening to anything at this moment because I'm in a writing mode. And I'm actually writing a piece for orchestra.
Wow.
And this is not the first time I've done that. I've done many pieces for orchestra that people have recently discovered. So now I'm being commissioned to write something specific for a co-commission, Juilliard Prep School and Interlochen, which is another performing arts high school, put their funds together and asked me to write a piece for their orchestras.
Wow.
So that's what I'm working on right now. So I'm not really listening that much. And then on top of that, I'm also this summer I'm out playing some concerts. So I'm going to Japan next week.
Wow.
I have concert tour in Japan through the middle of July. And then I'll be back.
Question that I absolutely love Japanese jazz, even back to the 60s and 70s. I talk about it all the time. Are you doing a jazz tour or are you doing an every catalog tour? I'm just curious.
I'm doing the music that we just talked about. That's what they want to hear too.
I didn't know that.
That's what they want to hear too. Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna piggyback off of that question. Like, how was it performing internationally? How has the international audiences consumed your music, and like, what's been the reaction when it comes to like these different groups of people who might not even look like you in some cases appreciate the music the same way, you know, people like me and Ahmad do?
I think that one from my experiences at international audiences, I've been to Europe several times. This is the first time I'll be in Japan doing all of these hits that we're talking about. But international audiences are very receptive and they really enjoy this music. They learn a lot about us through our music.
Yes.
Which is why we should be very, very conscious of what we do.
So true.
And they dive deep, you know, because if they like something, they consume it in a different way than American audiences kind of take some things for granted. I love that. That's really great. And then next week, I love that too. And it's really great. And they just go on and on and on. If they are your fan, they're a fan for life. I mean, they are following part of the fun, as I said, is following the trajectory through your art and through what they can find out about you. And you don't have to speak the same language, but music is the universal language. So when you can relate to an audience from the standpoint of what it is that they're hearing, and they stay there with you and they're there, they know every note. I was about a year and a half ago in Europe, and we were in a part of Europe where I didn't speak the language at all, and the people singing louder than me. And you look out an audience, and in my case, you know, it's this blessing of seeing a 7-year-old and a 75-year-old singing the same song.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So it's incredible to know that this music, they haven't heard me do it a lot. So being able to offer that now has been just really, really, really incredibly rewarding, has continued to spark my interest in trying and motivated me to just keep going, keep doing things and I learn something new all the time, and I learn things about different ways to be able to do things. And when you learn, you can try things. And, I do a lot of teaching. And, surprisingly enough, when you teach, you learn too.
That's so true.
Lead me to another question. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm fanning out right now. You teach now. You're not only teach, but you're like a whole leader of 2 schools or at 2 schools. You correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, I'll help you.
I mean, I ain't ready for the.
I was chair of the popular music program at USC until last year. I stepped down so I could do more of other things. That the platform of being a teacher has allowed me to understand the importance of a continuum of what it is that we are teaching, which is this music. So I want to use that platform is not changed from teaching as much as it is that I'm not in a classroom at a school every day like I was when I was running the department and when I was on the faculty. Just a pivot, a shift. And I'm on Berklee's faculty, Berklee College of Music. I'm on their faculty as well as their ambassador for artistry and education.
Yes. Shout out to Berklee. I actually had a friend that just graduated, I think last year. Yeah.
Nice.
Shout out to her.
Wow.
That's been an interesting and wonderful full circle moment too, because I was actually a music education major in college.
Right.
I did not want to be.
You didn't want to be?
Why
you
not?
Thought this would be easy for you.
I wanted to be, I thought, a composition major because I thought what I wanted to do was write music for film and television.
That's right. You said that before, yeah.
I love playing, but I loved writing, and I thought that I wanted to write inside that little box, TV. And when I told my parents, when it was time to think about college and stuff, and they said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to be a composer for film and television. And my parents, oh, that's nice. What would your real job be? So, and I mean, these were great people and progressive to the bone, but they were also realists, and they were like,
right.
How you gonna eat? What does that mean? What does that mean?
So how you finna get this money?
So we agreed on teaching, and I said, okay, that's good. And you know what? It turned out to be the best overview for all of the things that I wanted to do. It was the best way to get just this sampling of each thing, because you had to play, you had to learn how to play other instruments in case you have to teach beginning band or something like that. You had to obviously learn music fundamentals and theory and stuff like that, and sing in the choir and do this and do this and do all of this. Well, now what better training for as a music director for film and television than having to do all of these kinds of things, putting things together from the standpoint of orchestrating and learning to write music and all of this other kind of stuff. And, all of it led me to being able to have different ways in which to do music. And teaching became one of them also, which I didn't know that I would like as much as I actually ended up liking it.
Wow.
I'm glad that it was on not the first part of the journey, because I appreciated it more when I started doing it because of all the things I had learned on the journey, which I could bring to the classroom. And so it's been a wonderful experience to be able to do it. And now I have even a larger platform and, some extra stuff behind my name. President, chairman, and
added on to the resume.
Professor and
stuff, more credentials. I know I know we try to honor your time, so we don't have to take too long.
I've enjoyed talking to you guys.
Yes, ma'am.
I really have.
Thank you so much for making time. Yes. I have to say one thing. This is I think it's supposed to be Black Music Month. I'm not sure why they keep saying.
Yes, it is.
It is. I've learned that. NPR's Tiny Desk has recently had a friend of yours you have an album with, Stanley Clarke, on there for Tiny Desk. Last week. I didn't realize that I actually playing his album with George Duke, and I was scrolling YouTube and it came up and I'm like, oh my God, I did not imagine they would have him on. Stanley Clarke, similar to what you mentioned, does film, does music, does albums, so similar. Is there a world where you would do a Tiny Desk?
Yeah.
I feel like you have the mixture of all. You have performances, you have live music. You're like the perfect person to have. I'm so surprised you have not.
You better tell somebody. You better tell them.
Hey, we'll came for you.
Advances. Add to our homework list. We're going to push for this.
Yes.
We're going to use our influences to see what we can do.
Yes. We right here in the DMV.
Because you're going to Japan. not because you're going to the summer, so we can't push it right now. But we will start the campaign. I'm serious. I'm so serious.
I'm dead serious too. Let's do it.
See,
what's up?
That it makes so much. When I saw Stanley Clark, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then we was doing. I was like, "Man," I was like, "Maybe she's already done it. Let me do my research."
No, I haven't done that. Done one.
That's crazy.
They're kind of cool. I saw. I didn't see Stanley's. I'll have to watch that. I did see Babyface. He did a nice one, and there've been a lot of them that are really really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no, I haven't done it, but looks like fun. And that's what it's all about. It's fun to have a good time. Do something that you can be proud of and have fun doing it.
Absolutely.
Ma'am.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
Thank you very much for yours.
Yeah, I can't wait to tell my mom I did this. I didn't even tell her. I didn't even tell her.
My mom was excited.
Telling people.
My mom
you
lost
told
her mind.
I didn't say anything because I didn't want to jinx it. Been fanning out the whole time, but thank you so much.
Yes.
I appreciate you so
much.
Thank you both.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad it worked out. Thanks for being in touch.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. Hope we stay in touch. You can always come back. Please come back.
Let me know. We got lots to talk about.
Yes, we do. We got a couple albums we gotta look at with you.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
we got plenty of things to talk about.
Yeah, just to give you a little context, we just did. Well, actually, by the time this comes out, the last one probably came out. We just did Slide and Family Stone. Last couple albums. So we
wait. I'm showing you my picture.
No way.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh.
Wow.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
So wow is right, because 3 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I was up at the San Francisco Jazz Fest. But Sly had died that early that week. And a guy met me at the airport and gave me this picture. He says, "I know you're a huge Sly fan, and I'm so sorry for your loss." And he gave me this picture, and I put it here on my studio. So when you sung on Sly, it's like, okay, now you wanna talk about some music? Let's go. Yes, indeed.
Let's go.
That was a pivotal point for my generation.
Yeah.
That was like what? That was that moment for a lot of us. It's other people like that, and maybe sometime we can do a show like that, because people do shows about what we have out there.
Yeah.
But you guys seem like there are some things where you want to dig. So how do we get there?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have a lot in common in terms of the people that we know are of cultural value to our music. So
you just gave me so many questions. So now I have to stop, because now I'm like,
okay.
Yes, we're gonna talk all night.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, that's it. I'm trying to stop. Thank you so much.
All right, so we'll do volume 2.
We have to now. We have to. She's challenging us.
You can pick the album you want. You can pick an album, like an album you love. If you don't want to talk about you all day, you can pick an album. Say, I want to talk about this. Whatever you want, we will love it.
We'll bring you back.
All right, you guys be well, and thank you again for the opportunity to speak. Loved it.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Bye bye.
Yes, have a great weekend.